This video is brought to you by my supporters on Patreon. Thanks! Alright, so everybody knows their Resident Evils and their Silent Hills on the PS2, okay? And like, even some people know like Clock Tower or Rule of Rose because they're so rare and the complete antithesis of Resident Evil and Silent Hill. But somewhere hidden in the middle is a game that you don't know about. It's a game that nobody knows about because it's not talked about. It's so unspecial that it gets nowhere. And that game is Haunting Ground. Haunting Ground is a survival horror game on the PS2 by Capcom that very much controls in the vein of Resident Evil, but yeah, you don't really fight stuff. And the sound design is much more akin to Silent Hill, but you don't really see stuff.
Hello?
And you know what I'm gonna do today? I'm gonna spend the next however long telling you about this game that's so uninteresting. It's so almost good, it hurts. And before I get into this, if you have played Haunting Ground, comment below and tell me about what you think about the game, because it's something. So I just want to put a quick trigger warning up because this game does deal with certain topics. Of course, it's a scary game, but there's harm, sexual violence, mistreatment of women, and it's just not like the best time for people that are sensitive to stuff like that, violence, blood, you know. So if you have a hard time with that, either watch with caution or don't watch at all. I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable, and I'm just putting it out there. It's some pretty heavy stuff. So Haunting Ground came out in 2005, and you take control of a young woman by the name of Fiona Belly, and it is your goal to escape Belly Castle. So how does young Fiona get stuck in a castle named after herself? Well, the opening cutscene of the game that's animated like butter shows Fiona and her family on a trip to who knows where when some mysterious man on a motorcycle comes up and fucks their shit up. Fiona looks like this for some reason, and everybody in the car dies but her, I guess. If she was sitting in the back seat, I don't know. Anyways, there's this big scary guy that's cutting something up, and this dude just locks her in a cage, I guess. But actually, he doesn't lock her in a cage because it's just open. The game starts and it's just open. So now you have control of the character. First thing you can do is walk around, go up some steps, and find a bedroom where somebody just gives you clothes, I guess, and you put them on, and for some reason you're being watched by some Scooby-Doo villain who cut the eyes out of a painting, and then the horror begins. Not too long after that, you walk around and you come face to face to the giant man that locked you in the cage to begin with, and his name is Debilitas. It's not cool. It's not the coolest name to give him. Look at those little puppy dog eyes. And the one thing he wants to do is use you. That's the best way I can describe it. You know, he walks around chasing you and for some reason does this until you run away from him. So in this game, you don't really have combat options. You can kick. You can kick things and you can kick enemies, but it doesn't really do anything to the enemies except stun them for like a millisecond, and it just ruins your stamina. So 9 times out of 10, what you do when you get chased is you hide. You either find a spot to hide, or you can outrun them and quickly run next to a door and they won't see you, so they'll run past and then you can run away and stuff like that. And the whole name of the game, this is the only thing you do the entire game, is you run away, right? There's some puzzles here and there, but the rest of the game, you just run away. So you get away from Mr. Debilitas here, and after running around for a bit, you run into this man, Ricardo. So this is the third character you've seen, and they're all weird. None of them are normal people. None of them talk to you like a human being, right? And Ricardo tells you, yep, parents are dead. Also, this is your castle. This is your castle. You just didn't know about it for your entire life. This is yours. And it's like, I don't I don't want this. Have you seen Debilitas? So you're still trying to leave. You're like, I don't want this castle. Stop. Something about, I don't know, he says something about an Azoth. If I know. So once again, you run, go to your room, run around, go to your room, whatever, until like story progression happens. There's Debilitas, Daniella, and Ricardo, and then there's that fucking dog. Oh yeah, there's a dog. So in this game, you have a nice companion, the best boy, Hewie.
Hewie.
Now, Hewie is insanely frustrating to control, but he's also your only friend, and seeing him makes you feel safer. Hewie actually does something. He's pissed. You can use Hewie to solve certain puzzles or bite and latch on to enemies so you can run away from them easier. You get separated. You can get separated from him, but he eventually finds his way somehow. He'll just show up. Don't worry about it. But the thing about Hewie is that there are commands you can give him, and there's like a respect friendship meter that you don't see, but you can tell Hewie to go, you can tell Hewie to come, you can tell Hewie to stay. Go is attack, whatever. Or you can tell him he's a good boy or a bad boy. And at first, he just does not. He does fuck all. He does not listen to you. He'll listen to you after like the third time. But as it goes on and you get a relationship with Hewie, it becomes more natural. It becomes more of a thing. So Hewie is your last savior in this world. And you know, we're all thankful for Hewie. So let me tell you a little bit more about playing the game. You're in this intricate castle layout. The castle has dark undertones throughout the entire thing. The sounds you can hear, the sound design is great. You can hear certain enemies or characters or whatever's going on, and it'll make you pause for a second. It is in fact dying. Oh shit! I hear him sprinting. It's kind of like Mr. X in Resident Evil 2, where you can hear the footsteps before they approach, but most of the time it doesn't actually work out like that. You just hear them, ah! And then they run after you, and then you're like, well, guess I'm fucked. But the map design in Belly Castle actually it's very intricate, and it loops together perfectly. Just don't look at the map screen, because this makes no sense. Like, what am I even looking at? What is this? So like, just memorize it. Don't look at the map. Just memorize it. And speaking of map design, let me tell you something. This game does doors right. There are almost 0 loading screens when you play this game. The whole map feels like one organic area, because of course the loading zones are still behind the doors, but the way that the doors work is that it's blacked out and it doesn't load the entire map, but it loads the sections next to the doors that you're in. So you can go in and it'll unload old stuff that it doesn't need and load the area next to you, and it's seamless. It's genius. You know, Resident Evil has their slow door opening scenes, and like, it works for them. It definitely builds tension that way, but you can tell that it's a loading screen. There's also these little like wisps that go around and just are annoying. They're called luminescence, and they don't do anything except show up and ruin your time. So what they will do is they float around and they float towards you, and if they hit you, it'll make a really loud noise and alert whoever's chasing you to run after you. You can get them to disappear sometimes if you close the door behind them, but it doesn't always work for some reason. So I mean, just you can close the door and pray, I guess. So I guess our first major puzzle is this like tile puzzle that you have to put into a golem. You know, you just find the thing, you type it out, and then you put it in the golem. Right? That's the puzzle. Simple, easy. It never happens again, except for once. And boy, oh boy, do I wish it never happened again. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So you run around for a little bit more until you see Daniella, the maid that has given you clothes at the beginning, cooking a rather interesting feast. And it turns out Daniella is very jealous of your body and the attention it gets, this will come back. So as you find out, everybody wants this Azoth, and that's why they, well, except for Debilitas, that's why they have beef with you. So afterwards, there's a little bit more walking around, running back and forth, doing whatever, putting things in things, and during one part, you hear just this weird sound, this weird guy, and it's pretty obvious it's the Scooby-Doo villain, but there's this wall with holes in it that's already weird to begin with, and there's a hand that comes out and just gives Fiona a letter that says, hey, you can leave, just go this way. Also, everybody fucking sucks, which is true, but I don't know if I really want to trust the hand wall man who was literally peeping on me changing earlier. So once you find out that you can leave the castle through a secret exit, you continue on and you find Debilitas just waiting for you in a chapel, and it's a boss battle. First boss battle of the game. The way you complete this boss battle is by destroying these two little things that are holding up the chandelier, and for some reason Debilitas walks under it and gets crushed. And then they try to make you feel bad for him. They give him these big puppy dog eyes, and Fiona says, "Oh, he's okay, Hewie," for some reason, and then he just walks away like he didn't just try to assault you for the last 2 hours. Guess I shouldn't have reacted as I did. No, that's justified. No, that's justified. You definitely should have reacted that way. So Debilitas feels bad and just fucks off, I guess. And Daniella has a meltdown because she is infertile and can't have kids while you are harboring the Azoth, and she wants it. Daniella is sick of looking at herself and the fact that she can't feel pain or pleasure, and takes it out on you, of course, naturally. So you run away. You run away. You run away into Old Belly Castle. And it turns out that Daniella's weakness, or I guess main line of stopping her, is to just have her look in a mirror that is conveniently placed everywhere. So some shit floods, whatever. And as you're running into the new area, there's these holes in the wall, and now comes the alchemy mechanic. So the entire game actually has a lot of alchemic undertones, and they really tried to make it into like a game mechanic, and it doesn't work. I've tried this mini game so many times to try to time it out, try to find a rhyme or reason, a way to pick a certain color and get the items that I want, and it just doesn't work. So what I end up doing is spam the button until it's over, and then fingers crossed that I actually get something. Now what you can get, and you can also get this from breaking pots and picking stuff up on the ground, is you can get items that help with your stamina recovery or your panic recovery, as well as other items and stuff like that. Speaking of panic, this is the most interesting thing that this game does, is the panic meter. The more you run away from enemies, the more you get hit by enemies, the more you're interacting with enemies or random things that scare you for some reason, like bugs, you actually build up like a panic meter or like an insanity meter. Think Amnesia: The Dark Descent, but like it actually affects how the game is played. As you're running, you get like heartbeats, and it's a little bit harder to see and everything like that. But if you break, Fiona just goes into a rage where you can't see anything, and she also just runs. You can't control whether she runs or not. The only thing you can do is kind of control the movement, like how she turns, but it doesn't always work, and it's very wide margins. So a lot of the times you get stuck, you get trapped, you get killed, and that's why it's important not to dance the line of death too much. And this mechanic would be the coolest thing in the world if it wasn't so goddamn annoying. So what this ends up being is a way to extend you just losing, because 9 times out of 10, if she starts panicking, you're not getting out of it. And a good reason for that is because if you run into a wall, you will keep running into that wall until the enemy catches you, and it's just over. It's over. And yes, you can die in this game. And if you didn't save, you have to go back as far as your last save. And like the running from the insanity thing wouldn't be too bad if it didn't last so goddamn long. Now, it's cool because you can get out, you can calm down, there are items you can take. I get it. But when you're stuck, this is the most infuriating thing in the world. Not only that, but when you do have the death scenes, those are also so goddamn long. Moving on. Not only are they long, but they are uncomfortable. And I'm glad they're uncomfortable. But I sometimes, if I keep dying in one spot, I just want to get it over with. If I'm stuck running around for 20 minutes and then I die, I want to get back to it. I don't want to sit here for 15 seconds and listen to Debilitas moan. I don't want to. I don't want it, okay? Daniella cuts out your uterus. It's weird. It's cool that it's weird, but hers goes on for so long. Like, I got embarrassed playing it. That's how long it was. Anyways, so the old belly castle it's the same thing as regular castle, but like it's a new location, which is cool, but it's more just running away and doing puzzles. There's a cool puzzle where you find the differences between a room, but there's so many ways it can go wrong that it doesn't feel fair, and it's not rewarding when you get it right. Because, oh, I want to explore both of these rooms just to see what the differences are. Daniella is right here tending to the fire in this room. Let me walk over 30 feet to this other room and open up a closet, and she's just there mad at you, and you have to run away for 10 minutes before you can continue the puzzle. It's just not like the best. It's so almost, this game is so almost good. I hate it. There's also this like plant puzzle that just didn't make any sense to me. Something about a plant, you pick a plant and it screams and it's poisonous, but you gotta find the one that's not. I couldn't figure this out, so I just brute forced it and guessed until I figured it out. The white one works, I think. I don't even remember, I don't care. Really, Daniella's section is just full of awful puzzles, because there's a pipes puzzle. My first time playing through, I never found the solution to, so I just brute forced it, only to later, when I was stuck on another part, left with no idea what to do again. There's also the golem puzzle. He does come back. Like I said, it does come back, and it's the worst puzzle of all time. It's not really a puzzle. It's you type L and R to make the golem turn either left or right, and you have to do it 6 times, and it is slow. You have to watch him walk 8 miles every time. There's no skipping, there's no fast forwarding. You just have to sit there and watch it walk. After you put in each command, you watch it walk the command. And it is so boring. It is awful. Whatever. Oh, is it over? Oh. I had the fucking wrong thing in. I have to do it again. No. So after dicking around with Daniella for a while, you find her in this stargazing room, and this time to defeat the boss battle, you have to push blocks into place. So what you do the whole time is you sick Hewie on her, push blocks into place, and then it's over. She sees her reflection and just ends it herself, I guess. Sure, why not? Ricardo. So the next enemy that chases you is Ricardo, the guy from the beginning that was mad at Debilitas for wanting to ruin your body. Turns out he also wants you, Azoth, I guess. So the whole time you're running away from Ricardo, he has a gun. He just has a gun, and he's a lousy shot. He's so bad. He's actually easier to dodge than the other enemies because he's slower and he can't aim for shit. So you can literally just run circles around him. It's no biggie. And as you're running around, you learn about these homunculi. They're just growing homunculi, and they don't do anything. they you just kick them. They don't do anything. But it's really cool because back when you were running away from Daniella, you were in this MC Escher ass room and you just heard and you didn't know what the fuck that was, and it was scary. And now that you're further into the story running away from Ricardo, you know what it is. It's just some homunculus. It's just some thoughtless being standing there hanging out, and there's these other little enemies that show up that are tiny little baby homunculi, and these things fucking suck. They'll kill you so fast, and like you can kick them, and sometimes it takes one kick to kill them, sometimes it takes 2 or 3, or you can stick Hewie on him if he listens, and he'll take care of them real quick. But like, they suck, but whatever. You find out that Ricardo wants to use your Azoth to become immortal for some reason. That's why he killed your dad, because your dad had it, I think, and it turns out he has a child, so he took the child. That's why you're at the castle. So you go into the woods with Hewie, and you get separated pretty much immediately, and you find the sundial, which is like the save for that area, which, I mean, that's really cool. It's a clock, but it's not the same kind of clock. I mean, come on, that's cool. You find an injured Hewie, and you feel really bad for him while you run away from Ricardo. So you're running away from him outside in the woods. The map doesn't really make sense, but it doesn't not make sense. All of the interesting areas are open on the map, so you can kind of figure out your way. It's not the worst. The outside map's not the worst. So you find Ricardo again, and he's this roped guy, right? Well, he takes off his hood, and I guess he just looks like your dad. Fiona's like, Dad? And Ricardo says, I killed Ugo, and you inherited the Azoth. And you both get captured and wake up in this tower. So this is the part of the game where the maps become a lot less intricate and well thought out and become a lot more boring. Everything is straightforward, and there's no looping back, really. You just do the thing and then you keep going. So gone are the days of intricate map design in Haunting Ground. The rest of it's so boring. It's not interesting at all. What once was a staple of this game has been completely cast aside. So anyways, you wake up in another cell. This time it is locked, but for some reason, the dog's still there. Ricardo didn't think to deal with the dog, so Hewie saves you. A really cool thing now is that Ricardo's invisible. For some reason, he's just invisible. So you have to run away from a man that you can't see or hear, and he doesn't really use his gun, so he actually is a little bit harder, and you have no idea where the fuck he is. Not only that, but there are the luminescents everywhere in this tower, and like every time you go up a level in this tower, he just teleports and he's just there, so you have to run away and hide, and then go up to the second level and he's just there, so you have to run away and hide, and then you go up to the third level and he's just there, and it's great. It's a great time. It's so fun. Yeah, what the fuck am I supposed to do here? Where's my dog? Ah! So you make it to the top of the tower, break these things on the edge that I guess you just know that you should break, that you can kick them and break them, and then you line him up and you use Hewie to bite him on the edge, and then he falls off and he dies. And after that, you put this bridge on like a diorama that just spawns the real bridge. I guess, whatever. And then you can leave. You can leave the tower, and then you enter another tower. And in this other tower, you meet the guy that was in the walls. He's this old, scrungly man that is obsessed with Fiona and wanted you to escape the others because he wants your ass off. He wants the same fucking thing. So he crawls at you menacingly. For some reason, he's the fastest enemy in the entire game. He was on a wheelchair. Like, just step on him. Just literally breathe in his direction and he'll die. But no. You have to lure him to a spot where you use this dynamite and like a candle on the wall. Only that wall, nowhere else. and then you blow him up, I guess. A lot of coincidences for that one. But don't get there too soon or else it just won't work. You have to lure him right next to you on the candle or else it just won't work. So after you blow Lorenzo up, you walk 3 steps and he's back. He's not actually blown up. He's okay. But you could just put him in this grinder and then he is actually dead. It's over. So his boss fight is meat. You put him on a meat grinder and then you enter another place that's a straight line. You get separated from Hewie. That sucks. And then you get stuck into this room that you just have to wait. You have to wait for 10 minutes before you leave. This voice is just like taunting you and like you can interact with stuff and he'll talk about that stuff and taunt you, which is kind of cool for the time. He says, "Oh, you really think you can escape that way?" But both the doors are locked. You hide, you just fuck around for 10 minutes and then eventually you can just leave. Like, it's cool for the first minute or two, but what do I do here? I get, like, it's cool because they're messing with you. They're messing with the player, but it goes on for so long that I just get annoyed. And then the voice reveals himself. He looks very familiar. He looks like the last 4 people we've fucking seen because it's Lorenzo again. Except he's young and not dead. Don't ask me why. He just is. He also does magic. So your dad, Ugo, and Ricardo are actually clones of Lorenzo, this old-ass man now, who ends up turning into young Lorenzo because he consumed Ricardo's Azoth that I guess he had via, and this is quoting the wiki, mouth to mouth, and it allowed him to master his aging, but like he was crushed by a rock grinder. So the last 3 enemies are literally the same person, and it's so boring. It's so boring, but he can do magic, so I guess that's new. He can like teleport and shit, and as you're going through this final area, you get put into what's actually the worst puzzle I've ever encountered in any game. This game has so many bad puzzles, and for this one to be the worst is really saying something. So you get stuck into these rooms full of fucking colors. Every room is a different color, so you walk through a room, it's a split Y with one colored door here, one colored door here. You pick one. That's it. And then you're in that colored room, and you walk down, and it's a Y, and there's one colored room and another colored room, and you pick one, and what you have to do is run away from him while randomly picking doors until you find the right combination of doors to go through. Like, there's no rhyme or reason. There's no hints as to where to go. You can go through the first 3 doors correctly, go through the 4th door wrong, go through 3 more correct doors, and it won't work because you went through the one wrong door. So you have to sit here for hours trying to figure out the right way to do it, and it turns out that judging by the guide, you just pick the door on the right side every time until it's over. What do you mean? So it's just like, how is that fun? How is it fun to run away from this guy that teleports and does magic and shoots shit at you while you randomly pick doors until you just manage to figure it out? It's so good. And then after you get out, you run through, there's like maybe like 1 puzzle, and you run around. You actually have a boss fight with young Lorenzo, and it's in this big room with like a lava pit in the middle and like these fans. And can you guess how you beat the boss? You just hurt him enough. Every other boss in this game had some kind of secret to defeat them, and the final boss is you just sick Hewie on him and kick him in the shins until he dies. Why are you doing this to me? Why would every other boss fight have a certain way to defeat them, and then the final boss is do the one thing that you haven't done for the whole game? I had to look it up. I'm gonna tell you, I had to look it up. I could not beat this game without looking up a few things because, oh my gosh, it makes no sense. So he falls into the fire pit. He's crispy. You start to leave. He comes back out as a burning skeleton. and you have the worst mini game of escaping him in the world. You have to walk away from him and duck when there's tremors so you don't fall over, and you have to do this while you backtrack through the entire last area, and if you mess up once, you're fucked. And it all leads up to this thing that falls over, and it doesn't tell you what to do when that happens. So Fiona's just sitting there pinned against this object, and then she just dies, and you have to do the walk over again. It turns out you have to tap square, and like, I mean, it makes sense, but like, you don't hold square, you don't hold the crouch button, you tap square, and you just have to figure it out. But whatever, you make it to the end. He dies for good this time. He just falls over. In a very sweet way, Fiona's scared to put the key into the castle, and Hewie comes up and comforts her, and it's a really nice moment. And as you leave, you see Debilitas, that I guess just has a redemption arc. He just waves goodbye to you, like, oh, I guess I'll see you later. Debilitas, if you weren't such a terrible person, I would feel bad for you. Because the only thing he knows is groundskeeping, and that's what he's gonna do. Everybody else is dead. Debilitas is just gonna do his fucking job. And that's it. That's the good ending. That's the best ending you can get. Apparently you can only get that ending if you have a high enough, I guess, approval rating with Hewie, you get the good ending. But if you don't have that, or Hewie dies, you get the bad ending. Also, Hewie can die. Not on the regular difficulty, but after you beat the game, you unlock hardcore difficulty, and Hewie can die. After also beating the game once, you can actually end the game early. After the Debilitas boss fight, he feels bad, and if you go to his little hut, he can give you a key where you can use the restrooms to escape early. You get the same cutscene as the good ending, but it just happens before, and then you hear Lorenzo scream because he's pissed Fiona's leaving already. There's also a fourth ending that's not cool, because it ends with Fiona being pregnant on a chair, likely because Ricardo took advantage of her, and it's just like not the coolest thing. Ricardo says that Fiona's gonna give birth to the new him because they're Azoths combined or something, and it's like not really cool. And the way you get this ending is if you have a low enough rating with Hewie in the woods, he doesn't come and save you at the end. He just fucks off. So be good to your Hewie. So some other post-game content, you can get costumes for Fiona and Hewie that do different things, and you can get hardcore mode, and you can get a mini game where you play as Hewie in the woods instead of Fiona. And I couldn't understand how to make it work. It was really cool being able to run fast for once instead, but like you have to escape with Fiona, and I hate to say it, but she listens worse than he does. Fiona actually doesn't listen to what you tell her to do. She just stands there and gets scared by Ricardo and then doesn't do anything, even if Ricardo's long fucking gone. It's not cool. It sucks. This shit sucks. The costumes do different things as well. So beating the game, period, you get German Shepherd Hewie instead of the white German Shepherd that he normally is. Ending A gives you the Texas cowgirl outfit for Fiona, and getting ending A or B gets you the illegal in some states outfit for Fiona. The Texas cowgirl gives her a gun. It's bad. It sucks. You have to be in such a weird position for it to actually hit something, and illegal in some states gives you a whip that's, I mean, it's also not the best. German Shepherd Hewie is a stronger version of Hewie, but he also doesn't listen even more. Fiona the Frog can be unlocked by finishing the game with ending C. That's the one where you leave early. The only thing that does is when you crouch, she looks like a frog, and also backstepping doesn't take stamina, which I never used anyways. And last but not least, if you finish the game on hard mode, you get the most adorable costume for Hewie, the stuffed toy costume. And the stuffed toy makes Hewie invincible. So it's a win-win there. So all in all, Haunting Ground is such a complicated experience because it's just fine. It has some really high ups, but it also has some really low lows, but the highs don't necessarily make up for the lows. It gets pretty close, but it's so almost good. It's painful, but I'm glad I played it. It was a very unique and it was a pretty spooky experience. The audio is what really makes this game shine. The gameplay just makes it hard to enjoy that stuff. But would I recommend it? Absolutely. If you like survival horror, I would 100% recommend you play Haunting Ground. But with that being said, you should probably pull up a guide. Now, most guides are completely ass and do the worst job of explaining I've ever seen, but in a surprising turn of events, IGN's walkthrough for Haunting Ground is actually amazing. And a cool thing about this is that if you beat the game using their guide, you could email them and have your name listed on the guide. You can be put on the Hall of Fame for people that have beaten the game using their guide. There are only 26 people on here, but that's kind of cool. I actually did email it myself, and it seems like either they don't have access to be able to edit the guide anymore, or like the email's lost, or they don't look at it, or they're just not, but they can't be bothered. But I did email them to have my name added to the list because I did use their guide. It was the best guide out there, and it's not on there, unfortunately. So, Devilish Demento, if you're out there, hook a brother up, but I understand if there's a reason you can't. This guide was posted in 2009 and last updated in 2013, so like, I get it. But it is still cool, and they have the old ASCII art logos, which is even better. Now, being that it's not as rare as Rule of Rose, it is still a rare PS2 game. It markets for about $300 used right now, which is, it's a pretty penny. Rule of Rose is like $7, but 300 is not bad. Haunting Ground is actually the 4th rarest PS2 game, I think, with Rule of Rose being number 2. And surprise, surprise, most of the top 5 rarest PS2 games are all horror games. If you're interested in seeing more about Haunting Ground, I actually live streamed my entire playthrough of this on YouTube. The VODs are there, so after this video, if you want to see more, go check those out. And if you like these kind of videos and want me to do more, please like and subscribe, because it'll tell me that this is what you want to see. It's what I want to make, and it'll just make making these videos feel so much better and so much easier for me. It'll be easier for me to put more effort into making these kinds of videos. So please like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and let me know. So that's Haunting Ground. Let me know in the comments what you think, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I loved making this video. It was so much fun to pick apart an old game like this. And consider supporting me on Patreon. It's patreon.com/Eddie Bunghetti, and on there you can get videos early. You get your names and credits. There's a little bit of bonus content out there, and it's $5 a month. So if you're interested and you are able to support me that way, I really appreciate it. And if not, it's no biggie. You don't miss out on anything. The only things that get posted on Patreon are things that I wouldn't post anyways. It's just a little bit of extra extended cuts or behind the scenes or stuff like that that I wouldn't have posted. It's a fun incentive to support me there and help me get closer to quitting my day job to make cool stuff for you full time. So consider checking that out. Here's the video of Sam and I playing some spooky games, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.